All right, I'm finally getting around to it. Marjorie Taylor Greene on The View. Let's give this a watch. Try to get this over with.
About releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files.
This happened
to the
last
public,
week.
including the names of individuals involved in his sex trafficking network. Now, Democrats have been calling for that too, along with some of the other Republicans, but most of your party is pushing back and stalling. Why do you think that is? Because if President Trump is not implicated in there, what is exactly being protected here?
I have no idea, but it seems like very rich and powerful men are being protected. And I will sign anybody's resolution, and I'll get on board with anyone's push to release those files, because this...
The only thing that I've heard of with regard to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein was that he was an informant for the FBI against Jeffrey Epstein. That's all I've heard with regard to Donald Trump. I know the left likes to say quite the opposite, that he was involved in the whole Lolita Express and this, that, and the other, although there's no proof of that. But there's probably no proof, substantially any proof with the whole FBI thing, which I actually do believe that there are some documentation to that effect, although it's probably still classified or whatever.
This is about women, especially when they were teenagers, were victims of rape and sexual abuse by Jeffrey Epstein. And according to the victims, there's a list of men that they haven't released yet. They are afraid of lawsuits. They're afraid of it. And
Really?
I said I would read the list for them on the House floor because I have speech and debate protection there.
Yeah, but not if they could prove how you obtained the list, though. If they could prove that you got the list from those women who are afraid of getting sued, and they could back that up with any kind of evidence, then yeah, you might be protected. But those women who gave you the names, they won't be protected. So she definitely answered the question that I was having for the last couple of months. Why haven't those women come forward with those names of the individuals that victimized them on Epstein Island? Well, she just answered it for me. They're afraid of getting sued. Assuming that Marjorie Taylor Greene is being honest with that, it makes sense to me. I'm sure they would be afraid of being sued if they started firing names off on a podium. But we've already seen the flight logs. We've seen a lot of those A-list celebrity names and those rich and powerful people that have been to Epstein Island. I mean, maybe not definitive proof that they've been on Epstein Island, but we have the client list with regard to who's been on the flights, though, don't we? I'm pretty sure we've got that list.
However, I also think that this is about all victims of human trafficking, children that are being molested or raped, any men and women that are held in some sort of sexual abuse situation. What does our government say to them if the government will not release the information on the most famous convicted pedophile in history?
Yeah, release the files. I agree. Release the files.
And then
whatever they got,
this has
just
been a
drop
failure across administrations. It's not just this one. It was the Biden administration, then the Trump administration, then the Obama administration. It should have, all across, spanning this history, should have been released. And
I mean, that's one of the most annoying things that the Trump administration has done this year, holding back those files after AG Pam Bondi already said she would release it, most notably AG Pam Bondi and other officials. They said they can't wait till they release it. It's coming out in less than a week, and then all of a sudden they say they're going to withhold it. And the Democrats would not shut up about it. They would just keep going on. And I can't entirely blame them. I think they should have released all the files. And that's all the Democrats talked about for months on end until the shutdown started happening, or until we started the countdown until the government shuts down. And that's when Democrats started pivoting toward, the insurance, the Obamacare is all the Republicans' fault now.
And there's clearly powerful people are being protected.
The only one who really got caught is a woman on this, is Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right. What does that say?
The irony of that,
Yeah. But she
but she was a trafficker, though.
Yeah, she's a mess.
Well, wait a minute. Was Jeffrey Epstein not in prison? Was he not in jail? I think he was in jail when he was Control-Alt-Deleted, although we don't know exactly by whom. I know they just recently, what was that, probably a month ago at this point, they released that extra minute of footage that everybody was railing about. Where is that extra minute at midnight? And then they claimed that they released that extra minute, and there was literally nothing that happened inside that footage. But Jeffrey Epstein himself, he was in jail.
Yes.
Pretty sure he wasn't a woman.
They hate her.
Yes.
Yep.
No, thank you to you. And Thomas Massey's also been great on pushing on this issue. Now, you mentioned you're notably America first, and you were even critical of President Trump's decision to take preemptive strikes on Iran. Right now, we're seeing these strikes on Venezuelan vessels in the Pacific, in the Caribbean, without congressional authorization. I think we both care about stopping the flow of illicit drugs.
Same happened with Obama.
But do you think
Obama
this is
had plenty
something
of
the
those drone
president
strikes.
can do unilaterally, or Congress
without
needs to weigh in
congressional
on?
approval.
Well, I just have to say, I have full faith and confidence in our great men and women in our military. And I believe that they have intel that we don't have, and they know what they're doing. However, I don't believe in regime change. I don't believe that we should be engaging in war, period. I'm totally against wars. I believe in fully protecting our borders and our people, but I don't think that we need to go out and attack other countries. I will say.
But what if those countries are supplying enough drugs to kill 100,000 Americans per year? What about that? What if they're trafficking in illicit substances that are contributing to the deaths of countless Americans on an annual basis? How is that not in some way an act of war?
So fentanyl deaths increased in the past 5 years by 250% in my district alone. And drug overdose is devastating.
And the country that manufactured all those drugs, you don't consider that in any way, shape, or form an act of war? We should just completely leave them alone and just let them keep, killing your constituency?
A lot of, rural small towns that have lost a lot of economic opportunities. And so I am all for our Border Patrol and our military protecting our country and our people from drugs being smuggled into the country.
Now, Congressman, as
well,
we
they're
speak,
still
there
finding
seems
a way
to be
in, though.
Significant divide on the right over whether to give a
probably always will.
platform to noted white supremacist Nick Fuentes.
Unless you get it at the
prominent
source.
Conservatives like Ben Shapiro, Senator Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, they've spoken out against amplifying him. You two have had a complicated relationship over the years, but at a moment when anti-Semitism is on the rise, where do you stand on this?
Well, first, I'm not anti-Semitic, but I am critical of the Israeli government.
Well, I just mean domestically speaking, because a lot of Nick Fuentes' words are, he hits every group, but very much just Jewish people in general, not Israel, Jewish people.
Well, number one, I don't have to agree with his words on attacking people like that. However, as a lawmaker, I think it's incredibly.
I don't even know why Nick Fuentes is such a topic of conversation over the last week. It's just really interesting to me that they just happen to bring him up. Megyn Kelly brought him up. Tucker Carlson brought him up over this past week. And I was just scrolling through my X feed over this weekend, and I've seen a ton of posts on just Nick Fuentes related shit. Who gives a shit? Who cares about Nick Fuentes? Just let him talk about whatever the hell he wants to talk about. Don't freaking platform him. Don't spotlight him.
It's important that I defend our
if you don't like what he has to say.
For every single American. Of course, that does not apply to death threats or anything like that. However, I think the most important thing we can have as Americans is our free speech, and it can be speech that I either agree with or completely disagree with.
But it's something interesting you said. You said you're critical of the Israeli government, but you are not anti-Semitic. Most people now believe that if you criticize the Israeli government, you are anti-Semitic. Do you disagree with that?
Actually, I disagree with
Or I
what...
should say many people.
Yeah.
I would say that tide has completely changed. I think many Americans today see the difference is you can love Jewish Americans and you can love Jewish people and not be critical of people at all. And you can, I have the right to criticize a foreign government. And I can criticize as many of them as I want. And I can say October 7th was the worst thing and horrific, but I can equally say starving children and killing innocent people and children in Gaza is also horrible. And that's my opinion.
I'm wondering because, free speech is everything. And it feels like it's harder to do and to have in this country. Do you think it's a good idea for the military to be marching into our cities and towns right now? Because
what does that have to do with free speech?
maybe people don't like the speech that they're hearing. How do we combat
It's not the speech,
that
you
and get
idiot.
back
It's the
to
fucking violence.
Going after the people.
It's the crime,
who
the
really
criminals.
are the problems.
Well, on speech, free speech,
They're not rounding people up, arresting them, and throwing them into prison because they're saying shit. They're arresting people because they're breaking the law, you idiot.
I want to say that I think that all of us right here are doing a great job of exchanging our ideas and things that we believe in, and we're doing it in a very professional and kind way. And in my opinion, I think we need more of that in America. I really do. And a lot of people wanted me to come on the show and say nasty things and all of us to fight. They wanted all of us to fight.
Thank you for not doing that.
Oh my goodness, no. I didn't want to
surround
do that.
I wouldn't have expected that from
She
MTG.
could handle it, but she didn't want to.
No, I didn't want to do that today because I believe that people with powerful voices like myself and like you, and especially women to women, we need to pave a new path. This country, our beautiful country, our red, white, and blue flag is just being ripped to shreds, and I think it takes women of maturity to sew it back together. And I think that happens through free speech.
Oh, man, that would have been a perfect opportunity for The View to ask Marjorie Taylor Greene, is burning the American flag free speech? I'm kind of surprised they didn't throw that in there at the last second. So Laura Loomer, she's been talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene for quite a while with regard to her financials and insider trading. She's accusing her of making millions of dollars off of insider trading. So I decided I would just pose the question, what is Marjorie Taylor Greene's disclosed net worth? And according to Grok, it says MTG's most recent financial disclosure filed in August of 2025, covering calendar year of 24, does not provide a single net worth figure, but reports assets and liabilities in broad value ranges as required by federal ethics rules. Based on these disclosures, her estimated net worth falls between approximately $8.7 and $38.8 million. That is a wide, broad range. I thought it was required by federal law that a member of Congress has to disclose their specific financials, not just this like wide range of numbers. Well, it could be, I don't know, maybe like 9, maybe like 39, whatever. So key components from the disclosure, and let me make this a little larger. So major assets, these drive the whole wide range, particularly due to high value business and real estate holdings. So the asset type business interests range between $5 and $25 million. You can't narrow that down any more than that, okay? Taylor Commercial Inc., 51% ownership, family-owned construction firm in Alpharetta, which I believe she was involved with like before she ran for Congress. I'm pretty sure. Like, didn't her husband start that and she divorced him or something like that? I could have that wrong, but I think she did. Anyway, bank account between $1 and $5 million in a congressional federal credit union. I thought that's kind of bizarre to have $5 million in a credit union, but okay. Real property, PMLTD, incorporated commercial property in Alpharetta. Again, a wide range between $1 and $5 million, which, okay. Real property, non-primary residence in Washington, D.C., between $500K and $1 million. Government securities, multiple U.S. Treasury bills between $900,000 and $1.5 million. Retirement accounts, $332,000 and $1.1 million. Stocks, here's the big one, stocks, dozens of individual holdings, Tesla between 15 and 50K, Amazon 15 to 50K, many others between 1 and 15,000 or 15 and 50K, and combined over 50 positions or around 50 positions is $1.1 to $3.6 million. And another bank account, Schwab One, between 45K and 150,000. And the liability, she has a up to $250,000 loan for Marconi Drive office's property. Third-party trackers like Quiver Quantitative, which aggregate congressional disclosures, estimate her net worth at $22.3 million as of May, placing her among the wealthier members of Congress. Independent media estimates, such as from Yahoo Finance, cited a range of up to $25 million based on similar data. Note that exact values are not publicly required, and ranges allow for privacy while ensuring transparency. Greene has publicly disputed some higher media claims as inaccurate. For the full disclosure form, you can visit the entire disclosure form right here. Honorable Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'll link it in the description. It's 16 pages in length, but it's got a lot of numbers on here, man. Like a lot of financials. I see a lot of Vanguard. There's Vanguard, Schwab. There's Microsoft, Qualcomm, And there's Berkshire Hathaway was down there. More Vanguard. There's another one, SP 500 Growth, Vanguard, Fidelity, Visa, a whole bunch of U.S. Treasury stuff. So yeah, a shitload of assets, man. Lots and lots of assets. So when it was acquired, not so sure. I mean, like, I don't think any of that stuff, like, on its own isn't a big deal. It's just the possibility of the insider trading that Laura Loomer raises. And there was a bill that was passed and codified into law called the, what was that called? Let me see if I have that. Okay, so I've got the 2012 Stock Act, which was passed after the whole 2008 nightmare. The Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act was passed to increase transparency and accountability in the financial dealings of members of Congress and other government employees. It prohibits insider trading by explicitly stating that such activities are illegal for these individuals and requires them to publicly disclose their stock trades within a specific time frame. You hear me, Nancy Pelosi? I wonder how Nancy Pelosi was able to get away with that. I know she probably earned a lot of that stock wealth before 2012, but any accumulative stock trading that, or a value of which that she had accumulated after 2012, she just says, well, that's what my husband does. I don't do that. Of course, I don't do that because that would be illegal. I just have my husband do all of it. So, yeah, because, of course, you're not telling your husband to, oh, yeah, by the way, a little bird told me to buy some of this, buy some of that. Okay. So, all right. So the act also expands pension forfeiture for corruption-related offenses and adds a notification requirement for future employment discussions with non-federal entities. Key provisions of the Stock Act: a prohibition of insider trading. The act clarifies that members of Congress and other federal employees who trade based on material non-public information are breaking the law. Public disclosure of trades. Members of Congress and other public filers must publicly report their stock, bond, and commodity transactions within 45 days. This includes transactions made by a spouse or dependent children. Nancy Pelosi, including a spouse or dependent children. How was she exempt from that? I wonder if maybe an investigation should be opened into that, because I bet she is guilty all up and down of insider trading in Congress. Guaranteed. I think that's pretty well common knowledge at this point. Pension forfeiture. The act expands the conditions under which a member of Congress can forfeit their pension due to corruption, including insider trading and other misconduct committed while in elected office. So what? Worse comes to worse, she'll have to give up her pension. Probably gets to keep every bit of that. I know that there's been bills, like most recently this year, who was it? AOC teamed up with Anna Paulina Luna, who is my representative in Congress, as well as a couple of others, and they wanted to put together basically the same thing as this, really, to ban insider trading in Congress, which this thing's already a thing. This has been a thing for 13 years. So I don't know if they want to expand on it, but they want to implement penalties, and the penalties are almost laughable. It's like $10,000 or $20,000 per offense that you're caught doing, or something along those lines. I mean, it's such a laughably small amount if you get caught doing insider trading in Congress, if their bill was to be codified. So future employment notification: public filers are required to notify their agency's ethics official or any negotiation for or agreement of future employment with a non-federal entity within these 3 business days of the commencement of the negotiation or agreement. Expanded scope: the provisions of the Stock Act apply not only to members of Congress, but also to executive branch employees, including special government employees and others in confidential or policy-making roles. So there you go. That's all I got from Marjorie Taylor Greene for now.